Okay, so having looked at the border, what stands out in your mind? What did you say?
Well, there are thousands of good men and women who are down there trying to do the right thing in a very difficult situation, but that border is still very porous. We don't have exposure. We can't visibly see what's going on that entire border. And then you have parts of the border where you have this big, for instance, 18-foot fence that becomes virtually no little fence and then no fence. You don't have to go very far out of town to find easy access across the border. And then you just see thousands of people coming across the border and taking advantage of the system.
What are they taking advantage of in terms of the system?
Well, you know, one of the things I saw were these little kids. It was down at the Naco Elementary School at 2:15. School lets out. These are elementary age kids. And what you do is you watch them walk 2 blocks to the border. There's no adult in sight. There's no adult supervision. And I watched them literally walk across the border as the CBP person told me, home to Mexico. They just, every day, these kids wake up in Mexico, that's where they live, they go to school in the United States, and they just walk home. They cross an international border as if it is nothing. No checks, no paperwork, no looking in the backpacks, no adults. That is but one little example of taking advantage of U.S. taxpayer dollars, and there are thousands of these things happening all across the border. It's just unbelievable.
Now that one's tough. I mean, who wants to hurt a little child? But if a Mexican national is attending a school paid for by American taxpayers, that is, you know, that is something that's very troubling. I mean, look at these little kids have nothing to do with it. It's obviously their parents. Yeah. But how can you ask the taxpayers in the community to pay for that?
Well, and they cross. I mean, you couldn't go down a ride at Disneyland. They're that short. They're that little. They're small. What happens if something happens to them at school? They cross an international border as if it's absolutely nothing. And then you see the amount of drug seizures, and you look at the nefarious activity. One of the other things that was very startling to me, Greta, is I went to the Eloy detention facility that ICE runs there in Arizona. 1,500 inmates. 900 of them were what they call OTMs, or other than Mexicans. So let's not pretend that this is just a problem with Mexico and you got some people that are just trying to get their kids to go to school. 900 of the 1,500 detained are other than Mexicans. When I was there, they had detained 9 Romanians. I went into the library, the detention facility. There was a group of Chinese nationals there. They're using this porous border to pour into the United States.
Is that facility a regional facility, meaning that
Yes.
that they pick up people coming across that particular border? It's not like they're taking people coming from the Canadian border and they're just housing them there. Of these 900 of the 1,500, these are nationals coming across the U.S.-Mexican border?
Well, they were probably detained by an ICE officer and could be in a variety of different areas. If you're Mexican and you come across the border and you get caught there illegally, you're going to be back across that border probably within the hour. If you're from another country, they're probably going to detain you and then go to the system. This is how they game it. So, for instance, in the case of the Romanians, they didn't even run. What they told me is, oh, they want to get caught because then they're going to get a court date and then they'll be in the country for months legally while they go through this court process, which could lead out to years. They just game the system. They don't even run when they get here because they want to get caught, get a drink of water, the judge lets them go. We can't even process. Literally thousands upon thousands of these things happen on a monthly basis.
All right, Congressman, we're out of time, but I want to give you a little homework assignment. I want you to come back next week with some of your ideas on how to solve this problem. So.